I am 79 years old, and I am afraid of winter. Not of the cold, of the bill that comes with it. And now I want to tell you something that nobody who loves you will ever say to your face. Not your children, because they don't want to scare you. Not your financial advisor, because it's bad for business. Not your friends, because most of them don't know it yet either. I have been retired for 16 years. I have buried my husband. I have watched a savings account that felt like freedom slowly become something I count and recount at the kitchen table at night. I have smiled at my daughter on Sunday phone calls and said fine, always fine, while the thermostat behind me read 61 degrees. And in all of that, I have learned one thing I cannot unknow. The number your advisor showed you, the one that made you feel safe enough to stop working, that number was built on a version of your life that does not exist. A version where nothing goes wrong, where your husband lives, where your body cooperates, where prices stay where they were. I believed that number. I retired at 63. I started the clock. I had no idea how long the clock was going to run. My name is Barbara. I worked as an office manager for a medical practice for 38 years. I kept everything running, the schedules, the billing, the staff. I was reliable. I was the kind of woman who came in early and stayed late and never called in sick unless I genuinely could not stand up. I retired on June 4th, 2009, a Tuesday. There was a sheet cake with my name in blue frosting. My doctor shook my hand and said, "This practice will never be the same without you." I drove home with a box of desk things, and I was happy. Genuinely, completely happy. I had $385,000 saved, a small pension. I had just filed for Social Security. My house was paid off. My husband Frank and I had a handwritten list of everything we were going to do. The list is still on the refrigerator. We got through 4 things on it. Frank died in 2014, heart attack, 68 years old, 5 years into the retirement we had planned together. This is the part nobody puts in the retirement brochure. The plan you make assumes 2 people, 2 Social Security checks, 2 people splitting the utility bills, the groceries, the cost of just existing. When Frank died, my income dropped by nearly 40% overnight. I lost his check. I kept mine. And the number that had felt like enough for 2 became not enough for 1. If you are married and you have not asked yourself, what does this look like if I am the one left? You need to ask that today. Not this week, today. But Frank dying is not the mistake I made at 63. That was grief, not a decision. The mistake came before that. Standing in my kitchen with a form from the Social Security Administration. I claimed Social Security at 63. I know what you're thinking. I thought the same things. I had already stopped working. The money was there. I was eligible. Why wait? My advisor said the break-even age was around 78 or 79. He said if I didn't think I'd live that long, taking it early made sense. I was tired. Frank was healthy. We had plans. I signed the form. I am 79. I am past the break-even age. And every single month I receive a check that is 31% smaller than it would have been if I had waited until 67. 31% every month for the rest of my life. That is the difference between managing and not managing. That is the difference between choosing what I eat and choosing what I skip. The second thing that broke the plan was inflation. There was no line for it on the chart. When I retired in 2009, my grocery bill was roughly $280 a month. Last year, it was over $520. My utility bills have nearly doubled. My Medicare supplement has gone from $140 a month to $310. These are not unusual expenses. These are just the same life costing twice as much. And the gap between what comes in and what goes out has been widening for years. Slowly, then faster. Like a crack in a wall you keep meaning to fix, until one day the wall comes down. Now I do the calculation every month. Heat, food, medication. Pick two. Some months I can manage all three if I'm careful. Last February, I kept the thermostat at 61 degrees for 3 weeks and wore my coat inside the house and told my daughter Karen I was fine. I was not fine. And the hardest part, harder than the cold, harder than the careful shopping, harder than the pills I sometimes split to make the prescription last, is what I feel when Karen calls on Sundays. She is 51. She has her own mortgage, her own children, her own life. I can hear the worry in her voice, and I keep the picture from her because I raised her to be strong, and I refuse to be the thing that pulls her backwards. But I am running out of ways to keep the picture from her. That is what nobody tells you about getting this wrong. It is not just the money. It is the slow loss of the woman you always believed yourself to be. The woman who handled things, who never needed help, who had a plan. I had a plan. I just could not see its holes from where I was standing in 2009. I want to say one more thing about Frank, because I think about him every time I do that monthly calculation. We had 29 years together. Good years, most of them. And in all that time, we never once sat down and asked, what happens to whichever one of us is left? We talked about retirement as if we would always be two people, as if the plan only needed to work for both of us together, never for one of us alone. That conversation felt morbid, unnecessary. We were healthy. We were fine. And then I was alone. And the plan that had been built for two simply did not hold for one. I wish someone had told me, that the loneliest financial scenario is not dying young. It is living long after the person you planned with is gone. So here is what I would do differently. Not as advice, as a confession. I would not have claimed Social Security at 63. I would have worked 2 more years and claimed at 67. That difference in my monthly check would have changed everything that came after. I would have asked my advisor what the plan looks like if Frank dies first. I would have made him show me that number, even though it would have been hard to look at. I would have built real inflation into my projections, not the official number, the real one. What does this same life cost in 15 years? I would have made that calculation and believed it, and I would have kept a small amount of work a little longer. Not the job I was ready to leave, but something, a few $100s a month coming in, while I was drawing down, changes the math more than most people understand. I am telling you this because you are still in the part of the story where these things can be changed. If you have not yet retired, do not let exhaustion make this decision for you. Ask your advisor what your monthly income looks like if your spouse dies first. Ask what 4% inflation does to your budget in 15 years. Ask what happens if you live to 88. If those answers don't make you pause, the numbers probably aren't honest enough yet. And if you are already retired, and some of what I am saying sounds familiar, you are not out of options. Part-time work, even modest work, slows the drawdown. Downsizing while you still choose it rather than need it is a decision made from strength. These are not failures. They are adjustments. The failure is not looking at the real numbers until there is nothing left to adjust. I am 79 years old, and I am afraid of winter. I did not plan to be this woman. I was not careless or naive. I was just someone who trusted a chart, signed a form, and could not see far enough ahead to understand what I was choosing. You can see a little further now. Because I am standing here telling you exactly what is down this road. The heating bill comes every month, whether you are ready for it or not. Make sure you are ready.